Question 4 says triangle ABC has vertices at -4, 0, -1, 5, and 3, -1. What is the perimeter of triangle ABC to the nearest 10th? I'm going to label my points so I have A, B, and C. To do this problem, I need to know what perimeter is, and so perimeter is the length around the triangle. So I need to know the length of each side. So if you think about it, I need to know the length of side AB, the length of side AC, and the length of side BC. So I need to find 3 different side lengths. When we're given ordered pairs, the way we find side lengths is using the distance formula. The distance formula is on the error reference sheet, so it's not something you have to memorize, but it is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. The easiest way to do problems like this is to label the 2 points you're working with as x1, y1 and x2, y2. So if I am going to start with AB, I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. And then I'm going to plug that into the distance formula. So I would have -1 minus -4 squared plus 5 minus 0 squared. I wouldn't recommend typing the square root into the calculator because rounding too early can slightly throw off your numbers. So I'm going to leave mine in the square root until the very end. -1 minus -4, this is really like addition. So I have -1 plus 4. That is going to get me 3. 5 minus 0 is 5. 3 squared is 9. 5 squared is 25. When I add those together, I'm getting square root of 34. Again, for the time being, I'm going to leave that answer as square root of 34. And then I'm going to do the same thing for BC. So I'm going to want to label my points. I'm going to label C and B. So I have x1, y1, x2, y2. When I plug this in, I have x2, which is 3, minus -1 squared, -1 minus 5 squared. When I simplify, this is really going to become addition. So I get 4 squared, -6 squared. 4 squared is 16. -6 squared is 36. When I add those two together, I get square root of 52. Again, I'm going to leave those for the time being. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing with AC. So I'm going to label A x1, y1. I'm going to label C x2, y2. I'm going to plug them into the distance formula. So again, distance formula, x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. If I have this minus a negative, it's really like addition. So I get 7 squared plus -1 squared. 7 squared is 49. -1 squared is 1. I get square root of 50. Now, I have each of my side lengths. So I have side AB, side BC, and side AC. And I need to add all of those together. I would recommend adding them in the square root. So when you type it into a calculator, it would look something like this. Square root of 34 plus square root of 52 plus square root of 50. And again, that's just so that I don't round too early and mess up my answer. Just pay careful attention to, some calculators will have parentheses in there, and so you would want to close that parenthesis before you begin typing your next number, or again, it could throw off your answer. So just really pay attention to closing your parentheses and things like that, depending on this kind of calculator you're using. when I type those three in, I'm getting 20.113. The directions said round to the nearest tenth. So rounding that to the nearest tenth, I would get 20.1 for my perimeter.